Hello, and welcome to the Catching the Octopus podcast. Here, we will explore how connecting inward gives us an advantage outward. We openly talk about the obstacles and challenges and difficulties that life throws our way and how they become moments of gratitude and things that can benefit us when we look back on our lives. I'm your host, Naomi Hurley, and it is my mission to bring you top quality guests that will share with you openly their obstacles and also the techniques they use to go inward that strengthens the way that they serve themselves and others at the highest level. Thank you for joining. Let's get started. Welcome to the Catching the Octopus podcast. I'm Naomi Hurley and I'm hosting this podcast, which is really exciting for me. This has been a brainchild for quite a long time, but I didn't actually take the steps to move forward with it previously because it didn't feel authentic to me. All right, so I was listening to a lot of audiobooks, but I really wasn't listening to podcasts, and I didn't feel like it was right within myself to be doing a podcast if it wasn't something I've participated in. So around the end of last year, I was actually a guest on a podcast and I listened to that. And then I listened to other podcasts by that host, which is Adam Hill, Flow Over Fear, by the way. Go and check it out. It's amazing. And then I started listening to other topics and other podcasters, and I really got into the flow of it. And I kind of thought, I think it's time. So as for many of the projects that I have that pop into my mind, it eventually came to be. And so thank you very much for joining me and for supporting the podcast. And if you enjoy the episodes as you go through, please jump in and subscribe to the podcast as well, and even give it a rating. 5 stars would be awesome, but rate it whatever you feel it deserves, because those are the things that help us podcasters to be able to go out and connect with more people. And that's kind of the purpose of why I'm doing this, right? I would love to connect with more people and help more people understand that there's more available to them. The availability of everything is endless if that's what we believe and that's what we seek. And I hope that this podcast will showcase that. I will be having guests on, and those guests will be going through their obstacles in their life and how they turned into learning opportunities or even moments of gratitude when reflected on, later on. And we tend to have those obstacles in front of us that create this desire or this need to go inward, to, search for those results or the resolve that we need to get through them. And once we do that inward search and that inward work, we then have more to showcase on the out. The outward way that we show up and give value just levels up. And so that's the purpose of this podcast, is to go in and find out the hidden gems in obstacles in people's lives, how that's helped them level up as a leader, and how they give value and show up in the world. So the name, Catching the Octopus, I must say, without going too woohoo and into too much depth about it, it did come to me in quite a divine way, but it has a really practical application. So the octopus is, if you didn't know, it doesn't have one brain, it has many brains, and its body and its mind and its environment all communicate with each other, right? So if it's in a space, it'll actually find things in the environment that can give it a leg up, that it can use to hide, or that it can use to enhance itself in particular ways. And I feel like as humans, as leaders, parents, friends, sporting club coaches, all those sorts of things, when we look to the environment for things of strength, we can do the same thing. Instead of looking at the environment and the things that are happening around us as things that are hindering us or holding us back or stopping us from where we want to be, we have the ability to switch in our mind to say, hey, these could be beneficial for me. I could be using them to help myself give more value to me and to those around me. And so I thought it was just perfect, a perfect title for a podcast that is designed to help people see that if they think that there are obstacles in front of them, then there are. But if they see those obstacles as opportunities, then they are. Pretty simple, right? So when we go through, all of our guests will have information in the show notes. If you want to reach out to them, please do. They're all really open and really connectable. And that's how we can enhance ourselves, right? Is you find someone that's doing something that you want to do or that you like the look of, and then you go and seek them out, learn from them, gain their knowledge and make it part of yours. And I've spent many years, for those of you who that know me, just on this continuous learning journey. I think it started right back when I was, a kid really, but 19, I remember signing up for my first degree, and didn't think I could do it. Excuse me. So, I had a really great mentor in a leader in the business I was working at that suggested to me and said, you should go and do tertiary study. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not able to do that. I'm not smart enough. I'm not clever enough. I'm not resourceful enough. All the things that were built into me from my origin stories. So he pushed me. He said, well, I'd like you to go and do the exam. Just do the exam. That's all I'm asking for you. So I went and sat the mature age entry exam and I nailed it, right? And I was kind of thrown back and I went, oh, okay. And then that was the first moment that I remember feeling, wow, this is possible for me. It's possible for me to be able to achieve. And that then started a snowball effect for me. So I've continued with a range of tertiary education, and other formal vet education, and then various courses and programs and development that I've engaged in. And when you spend that much time and money learning, even if it is a hobby, it seems like it's unfair not to share that. And so that's another way that I'm hoping this podcast will serve you, is through me sharing all of the things that I have learned throughout my career, throughout my life, throughout my learning. Learning is one thing in the education sense, the formal education, but applying it and actually experiencing it is another thing. And when you can put those two things together, then that is just the ultimate level. And that's part of how I would love to serve this community. So I'm hoping that when this goes live and when we're putting it together, that you do get value out of it. And like I said, would love for you to like and subscribe and do a rating if that's what you feel like you'd like to do, but also share it. So share it with other people that you feel may get benefit from this, because we need to be in a space where we're giving. If we're giving, then we open ourselves up to receiving. And that doesn't mean just giving money to charity or giving time in volunteering, although they're really great things to do. It's also about sharing our knowledge, sharing the availability of the resources that we come across, giving other people the opportunity to hear and listen and learn the things that we have. And I know that in some spaces that some people see that possibly as competition, but it's one of the ethos that I've always had. And even as a manager in business, one of the things that I've really focused on is making sure I can share as much in here in my mind as I can with the people around me. And it never created a threat to my job or a threat to my position or a threat to my influence in the business. If anything, it opened up opportunities for me, because when other people knew the things that I knew and they could be the go-to, then I got the chance to learn new things and have new opportunities and seek new elements of my role that I could explore. And so the same is with life. If we are able to share with people the things that we've learned or the resources that we come across, then that opens us up to be able to receive more of that and help us become, who we want to be. And so there is no limit to your potential. Potential is something that goes forever. So in this podcast as well, that is what we're hoping to showcase between myself and my guests, is showcase that the only limits you have are your mind and the way you think and hold yourself back. But that also, on the flip side, means that everything is available and possible to you if you open your mind and you let it be. So thank you for tuning in to our first episode. I'm sure you're going to love the lineup of guests that come through. And then from time to time, I'll also pop in and share some nuggets of wisdom with you as well. If you'd like to reach out, you can contact me on social media. All of the information will be in the show reel there. You can email me, you can get on my website, all of those sorts of things. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for joining in and listening to this episode of Catching the Octopus podcast. It's been great having you here. And if you'd like to go and like and subscribe and maybe even leave a 5-star rating if you think it's worth it, I'd really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.